Tonight, you will join me as I dig deep into the true story behind the Taj Mahal and uncover the real love story of Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal. Close your eyes and travel back with me across centuries and continents to a time when the Mughal Empire stretched across the Indian subcontinent like a jeweled tapestry. Tonight, I will tell you a story of love so profound that it changed the face of the earth. A story written in marble and memory, in grief and grace. This is the story of a prince who became an emperor and a woman who became his entire world. Rest your head, let the centuries fall away, and listen ... The year was 1607. And the city of Agra hummed with life beneath a sky so blue it hurt to look at. The great Mughal capital spread along the banks of the Yamuna, river like a dream made of red sandstone and white marble, its gardens lush with roses and jasmine, its streets crowded with merchants selling silks from China, spices from the south, precious stones that caught the light like captured stars. In the heart of the royal complex, preparations were underway for the Meena Bazaar, a special market held once a year within the palace walls, where noble ladies could shop freely, protected from public view. It was a place of laughter and color, where princesses and noble women could walk unveiled, where they could bargain and jest with merchants, where for one day the strict protocols of court life softened into something almost ordinary. Prince Khurram was 15 years old. He was the third son of Emperor Jahangir, a young man already showing signs of the greatness that would one day define him. Tall for his age, with intelligent eyes that seemed to take in everything, a face that had not yet fully lost its boyish softness, but was beginning to show the strong lines of manhood. He had been trained in warfare and poetry, in statecraft and art, and all the refined accomplishments expected of a Mughal prince. But on this day, walking through the Meena Bazaar with his companions, he was simply a curious teenager, delighted by the unusual freedom of the event, amused by the sight of his grandmother Ruqayya Sultan Begum haggling over the price of perfume, and then he saw her. She was standing at a silk merchant's stall, holding up a length of deep crimson fabric to the light. 14 years old, perhaps 15, it was hard to tell. But age became irrelevant the moment Khurram's eyes found her face. She was beautiful, but it was not merely physical beauty that stopped him in his tracks. There was something luminous about her, something that seemed to come from within. Her skin was the color of honey in sunlight. Her hair, what he could see of it beneath her dupatta, fell in thick waves of deepest black. Her eyes, he would remember those eyes for the rest of his life, were large and expressive, framed by long lashes, and they sparkled with intelligence and life. She was laughing at something the merchant had said, and the sound carried across the courtyard like music. Khurram felt his heart stop, then start again with a different rhythm. "Who is she?" he whispered to his companion. His friend followed his gaze. "That is Arjman Banu Begum, cousin, daughter of Abul Hazem Azaf Khan, the Persian noble. Her grandfather is Mirza Giaz Beg, who serves your father as minister." Arjman Banu Begum. The name settled into Khurram's soul like something that had always belonged there. He watched as she examined the silk, running it between her fingers with the practiced touch of someone who understood quality. She said something to the merchant that made him laugh, then shook her head and put the fabric down. She was walking away now, and panic seized Khurram's chest. "I must meet her," he said. "Now, here. Now." His companions exchanged glances but did not argue. A prince's wish was not to be questioned. Khurram approached the stall she had just left, his heart hammering so loudly he was certain everyone could hear it. He picked up a piece of cut glass that sparkled like a diamond in the merchant's display, a trinket really pretty but not particularly valuable. "How much?" he asked the merchant, but his eyes were following Arjamand as she moved to the next stall. The merchant, recognizing the prince, bowed deeply. "For you, your highness, it is a gift." "No," Khurram said quickly. "I will pay." "Name your price." The merchant, confused but obedient, named a sum. Khurram paid it without haggling, then turned and followed Arjamand. She was at a jeweler's stall now, examining a pair of earrings. Up close, she was even more captivating. There was grace in every movement, intelligence in the way she studied things, kindness in the way she spoke to the merchant. Khurram cleared his throat. "Those earrings are beautiful, but they pale beside the one who examines them." It was perhaps not the most original line ever spoken, but his voice shook with such genuine feeling that it transformed the simple compliment into something more. Arjamand turned, and for the first time their eyes met fully. She did not blush or look away as many girls might have. Instead, she regarded him with calm curiosity, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "You are Prince Khurram," she said. It was not a question. "I am." "And you are Arjamand Banu Begum." Word travels quickly in the Mina Bazaar. When something matters, one makes inquiries quickly. Now she did smile, a real smile that lit up her entire face. "And do I matter, your highness?" "We have only just met, I think," Khurram said slowly, choosing his words with care. "That you will matter for the rest of my life." It was an extraordinary thing to say bold, perhaps even inappropriate, but it was true, and he could not keep it inside. Arjamand's smile softened. She looked at him with eyes that seemed to see past his title, past his fine clothes and royal blood, to something deeper. "That is either the most beautiful thing anyone has ever said to me," she said quietly, "or the most dangerous, perhaps both." They stood there in the crowded bazaar, and the noise around them faded to nothing. There was only this moment, this meeting, this recognition of something profound passing between two young souls. "Will you accept a gift?" Khurram asked, holding out the piece of cut glass he had purchased. "It is not much, but it is perfect," Arjamand said, taking it gently. "I will treasure it, as I will treasure this moment." Someone called her name then. A chaperone, perhaps, or a friend. Arjamand glanced over her shoulder, then back at Khurram. "I must go. Will I see you again?" "If fate wills it, your highness." "Khurram," he said. "Please, call me Khurram." She smiled again, that luminous smile. "If fate wills it, Khurram." And then she was gone, disappearing into the crowd of silks and jewels and laughing women, leaving Khurram standing alone with his heart in upheaval. He was 15 years old, and he had just met the woman he would love for the rest of his life. That love in the Mughal court was not simple. Marriage among the nobility was a matter of politics and alliances, of careful negotiation and imperial approval. Khurram was a prince with duties and expectations. He could not simply marry the girl who had captured his heart at a bazaar. He went to his father, Emperor Jahangir, and spoke of Arjamand. He spoke of her intelligence, her grace, her beauty. He spoke of the connection he had felt, the certainty in his soul. Jahangir listened with the amused tolerance of a father who has seen his son fall in love. "You are young, my son. Give it time." If this feeling remains, if it is true, then we will arrange the marriage. But first, you must prove yourself ready." So Khurram waited, and proved himself he did. He led military campaigns and won victories. He administered provinces and showed wisdom. He studied poetry with the greatest scholars and wrote verses that impressed even the court's harshest critics. He did everything expected of him and more, all while carrying Arjuman's image in his heart like a sacred flame. They saw each other occasionally at court functions, always properly chaperoned, always maintaining appropriate distance. But their eyes would meet across crowded rooms, and entire conversations would pass in silence. She would smile, and his world would light up. He would recite poetry, and she would know the verses were for her. During those 5 years of waiting, Khurram learned everything he could about Arjuman. He learned that she was not just beautiful, but brilliant, fluent in Persian and Arabic, knowledgeable in literature and history, skilled in the arts of poetry and calligraphy. He learned that she was kind to servants, generous to the poor, devoted to her family. He learned that beneath her gentle demeanor was a strong will and sharp mind. And she learned about him. She watched as the boy she had met in the bazaar grew into a man of substance and character. She saw his courage in battle, his wisdom in governance, his gentleness with those weaker than himself. She saw that his love for her had not faded, but deepened, becoming something solid and enduring. In 1612, the waiting ended. Emperor Jahangir, pleased with his son's accomplishments and convinced of the match's suitability, gave his blessing. The engagement was announced with great ceremony. Arjuman Banu Begum would marry Prince Khurram. The wedding took place on a spring day when the gardens were in full bloom, their preparations extending over weeks of celebration. The ceremony was held in the Agra fort, in halls decorated with thousands of flowers, with musicians playing, with the scent of attar of roses perfuming the air. Khurram was 20 years old. Arjuman was 19. When the moment came to see his bride, when the veil was lifted and he looked into her eyes once more, Khurram felt tears prick his own. 5 years he had waited. 5 years of holding her image in his heart. And now she was his and he was hers, and nothing in the world could separate them. "I told you," he whispered for her ears only, "that you would matter for the rest of my life." "And I told you," she whispered back, her eyes shining, "that it was either beautiful or dangerous." "It is both," he said, "and I would not have it any other way." After their marriage, Khurram gave Arjuman a new name, as was the custom. He called her Mumtaz Mahal, the exalted one of the palace, the chosen one of the palace. It was a name that spoke of his devotion, of how he saw her as elevated above all others. And she was. The Mughal court had seen many royal marriages, many alliances of convenience and duty. But the love between Khurram and Mumtaz Mahal was something different. It was a partnership of equals, a meeting of minds and hearts that transcended the usual boundaries of royal marriage. Khurram, like many Mughal princes and emperors, could have had multiple wives and an extensive harem. Indeed, he had been married once before, a political alliance arranged when he was younger. But with Mumtaz as his wife, his heart belonged entirely to her. The other wife remained in respectful distance. It was Mumtaz who was his constant companion, his advisor, his confidant, his love. She accompanied him everywhere protocol allowed. When he went on military campaigns, she traveled with him, even when pregnant, even when the conditions were harsh. When he held court, She sat behind a screen of carved marble, listening, observing, later offering counsel that he valued above all others. "What did you think?" He would ask her after important meetings, and she would speak frankly, pointing out things he had missed, offering perspectives he had not considered. Her political insight was remarkable. Her understanding of human nature was profound. "You are wiser than any of my ministers," he once told her. "I am simply a woman who loves you enough to tell you the truth," she replied. Their days together were filled with the rhythms of court life. Mornings began early, with prayers at dawn, the city coming alive outside their windows with the calls of merchants and the ringing of temple bells. Khurram would attend to state business, hearing petitions, consulting with ministers, making decisions that affected millions of lives across his empire. But always, always, he made time for Mumtaz. They would walk in the gardens in the evening, when the heat of the day had passed and the air smelled of jasmine and roses. They would sit by fountains and talk about everything: poetry and philosophy, politics and family, dreams and memories. Sometimes they would simply sit in silence, her hand in his, watching the sun set over the Yamuna River, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. He wrote poetry for her, beautiful verses in Persian that spoke of her grace, her beauty, the way she illuminated his world. She would listen, her eyes soft with love, and sometimes she would write verses back, for she was talented in poetry as well. "You are the garden," he wrote once, "and I am the morning dew that exists only to reflect your beauty. And you are the sun," she wrote in response, "without which no garden could bloom." Their love was blessed with children, 14 in total over the years of their marriage, 7 sons and 7 daughters, though not all would survive to adulthood, for even royal children were not immune to the illnesses and dangers of the time. Mumtaz was a devoted mother. Despite her position as the emperor's favorite wife, despite the demands of court life, she insisted on being involved in her children's upbringing. She nursed them herself when they were infants, rare for a woman of her status. She supervised their education, ensuring they learned not just military and political skills, but also compassion, poetry, art. "What good is power," she once said to Khurram, "if we do not raise our children to use it wisely and kindly?" Their eldest daughter, Jahanara, was particularly close to her mother, watching how Mumtaz navigated the complexities of court life with grace and intelligence. Their sons were raised to be warriors and administrators, but also to value culture and learning. The family would gather in the evenings when Khurram's schedule allowed. The children would recite poetry or demonstrate their calligraphy. Mumtaz would sing, her voice soft and sweet. Khurram would tell stories of his campaigns, of the vast empire they were part of the rich history of their dynasty. In those moments, he was not Prince Khurram, not the heir to an empire. He was simply a father, a husband, a man surrounded by the people he loved most. "This," he told Mumtaz one evening, with their children sleeping nearby and stars bright above the garden where they sat, "this is what I fight for. Not territory or glory. This, you, them, our family, and we are blessed to have you," she said, resting her head on his shoulder. In 1627, Emperor Jahangir died, and the succession was swift. Prince Khurram ascended the Pagok throne and took the name Shah Jahan, King of the World. At 35 years old, he became the 5th Mughal emperor, ruler of an empire that stretched from Afghanistan to Bengal, from the Himalayas to the Deccan Plateau. His empire was wealthy beyond measure, its treasury overflowing with gold and jewels, its armies powerful, its culture refined and sophisticated. But even as he wore the crown and sat upon the throne of his ancestors, even as courtiers bowed before him and called, Him, the king of the world, Shah Jahan knew that his true treasure was the woman who stood beside him. Mumtaz Mahal became empress, and she wore the title with the same grace she had shown as a young bride. She was involved in charitable works, building caravanserais for travelers, supporting the poor, ensuring that orphans were cared for. She was respected and loved by the people, who saw in her a queen of genuine kindness and wisdom. At court, her influence was profound, though often invisible. Shah Jahan consulted her on matters of state, trusted her judgment, valued her insights. When he was planning military campaigns or making crucial decisions, he would discuss them with Mumtaz first. She had a gift for understanding people, for seeing through political maneuvering to the heart of matters. "You are my greatest advisor," he told her often. "I am simply your wife," she would reply, "and I want you to rule wisely and well." Their love deepened with the years. It was no longer the passionate discovery of youth, but something richer, more complex. They knew each other completely, every strength and weakness, every hope and fear. They had weathered difficulties together, celebrated triumphs together, mourned losses together. Shah Jahan commissioned buildings and gardens throughout the empire, many dedicated to or inspired by Mumtaz. He wanted the world to reflect the beauty he saw in her. The architecture of his reign would become legendary, symmetrical, elegant, combining Persian, Indian, and Islamic influences into something uniquely beautiful. But no building, no garden, could truly capture what Mumtaz meant to him. She was his morning and his evening, his counsel and his comfort, the mother of his children and the keeper of his heart. In a world of protocol and politics, of courtly intrigue and imperial responsibility, she was his truth, his home. "What would I do without you?" he asked her once, late at night, when they lay together in the quiet darkness. "You will never have to find out," she promised. "We will grow old together, you and I. We will see our grandchildren grow. We will walk in gardens when our hair is white and our steps are slow." He kissed her forehead. "Promise me." "I promise." It was a promise she could not keep. The year was 1631. Shah Jahan was on campaign in the Deccan, the southern regions of his empire where rebellions constantly needed to be quelled, where the work of empire never seemed to end. Mumtaz Mahal was with him, as she almost always was. 38 years old, pregnant with their 14th child. She had insisted on accompanying him despite the discomforts of travel. "My place is with you," she had said when he suggested she remain in Agra. "Always with you." So she had come, traveling in a howdah atop an elephant, surrounded by her ladies-in-waiting, making the difficult journey across the Indian landscape. They had reached Berhampur, a city on the Tapti River, when her time came. The labor began in the early morning hours of June 17th. Shah Jahan paced outside the birthing chamber, as anxious as he had been with their first child nearly 20 years before. He heard the sounds of the midwives, the murmur of women's voices, and he prayed. Hours passed. The sun climbed high in the sky. The labor was difficult, more difficult than any of her previous births. Shah Jahan's anxiety grew to fear, then to dread. A servant emerged, her face pale. "Your Majesty, you should come." His heart stopped. "The child?" "A daughter. She lives." "But the Empress." He was through the door before she could finish, propriety and protocol forgotten. He found Mumtaz lying on silk cushions, her face pale as moonlight, her breathing shallow. Blood stained the linens despite the midwife's efforts. Her ladies-in-waiting stood around her, many of them weeping. She turned her head as he entered, and a weak smile touched her lips. "My love, Mumtaz." He fell to his knees beside her, taking her hand. It was cold, too cold. "You're going to be fine. The physicians..." "No." Her voice was soft but certain. "No, my dearest. I know what this is. I can feel it. Don't say that. Don't you dare say that." His voice broke. The king of the world was crying, tears streaming down his face. You promised me. You promised we would grow old together. I know. Tears slipped from her eyes as well. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Around them, the room had fallen silent. The midwives, the ladies in waiting, the servants, all stood frozen, witnesses to a private tragedy playing out before them. Shah Jahan gripped her hand as if he could keep her in this world through sheer force of will. I can't do this without you. I can't rule. I can't live. I can't. Yes, you can. She raised her other hand weakly to touch his face, wiping away his tears. You are Shah Jahan. You are strong and wise and good. You will continue. For our children. For the empire. The empire means nothing without you. That's not true. She smiled again, though it cost her effort. You have built something beautiful. You will continue to build. You will create wonders that will last for centuries. He shook his head, beyond words, beyond everything except the unbearable knowledge that she was leaving him. Promise me something, she whispered. Her voice was growing fainter. He had to lean close to hear her. Promise me you will take care of our children, that you will rule wisely, that you will not let grief destroy you. I promise, he choked out. Anything, everything, and promise me ... how his. Even now, even dying, they were beautiful. Promise me you will remember our love. Keep it alive. Let the world know that we existed, that what we had was real. The world will never forget, he said fiercely. I swear it. I will build a monument to our love so beautiful, so perfect, that it will stand for eternity. Everyone who sees it will know that you existed, that you were loved beyond measure. She smiled. And it was the same smile she had given him in the Mina Bazaar so many years ago. My Kuram, she whispered, the name he had asked her to call him when they first met. I have loved every moment with you, every single one. I regret nothing except leaving you. Don't leave me, he begged, abandoning all pride, all dignity. Please, I'll do anything. Just stay. I would if I could. Her eyes were starting to close. But I think I need to rest now. Mumtaz, find me in paradise, my love. Wait for me there. We'll walk in gardens again, ... double quotes. Her hand would slacken his. Mumtaz Mahal, the exalted one of the palace, the chosen one, the beloved wife of Shah Jahan, was gone. The sound that tore from Shah Jahan's throat was not a word. It was pure anguish, pure loss, a sound no human should ever have to make. He collapsed over her body, holding her, shaking, his tears falling on her still face. Around him, the room erupted in wailing. Her ladies threw themselves to the ground. Servants cried openly. The news spread through the camp like wildfire, and soon thousands were mourning, for Mumtaz had been loved by all who knew her. But none mourned like Shah Jahan. They say his hair turned white in the following weeks. They say he didn't eat for 8 days, locked in his chambers, seeing no one. They say his cries could be heard throughout the palace, and hardened soldiers wept at the sound. When he finally emerged, he was changed. The light had gone from his eyes. His face looked older, carved by grief into new lines. He looked like a man who had lost half his soul, because he had. In his grief, Shah Jahan remembered his promise. He had sworn to Mumtaz that the world would never forget their love, that he would build something so beautiful it would last forever. He would build her tomb, but not just any tomb. It would be the most magnificent structure ever created, a monument that would make the world weep at its beauty. It would be paradise made manifest on earth, a reflection of the Garden of Heaven where he believed Mumtaz's soul now rested. He called for architects and artists from across the empire and beyond. From Persia and the Ottoman Empire, from France and Italy, master craftsmen came to offer their skills. He assembled a team of the greatest minds and talents of the age. The design took shape slowly, carefully. It would be built of white marble that seemed to glow from within. It would sit on the banks of the Yamuna River in a perfect garden setting, aligned with the principles of Islamic paradise, 4 rivers flowing from a central fountain, representing the 4 rivers of paradise mentioned in the Quran. The main structure would be a perfect square, topped with a magnificent dome that would seem to float in the sky. 4 minarets would stand at the corners, slender towers reaching heavenward. The entire building would be symmetrical, perfect in its proportions, beautiful from every angle. But the real genius would be in the details. The marble would be inlaid with precious and semi-precious stones, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, jade from China, turquoise from Tibet, sapphires from Ceylon, carnelian from Arabia. These stones would form intricate floral patterns, verses from the Quran, geometric designs of breathtaking complexity. 28 types of precious stones would be used. The inlay work, called pietra dura, would be so precise that even centuries later, not a single piece could be dislodged without breaking the stone itself. The calligraphy would be perfection itself. Verses from the Quran would circle the great archways, growing larger toward the top so that they appeared uniform from ground level. The words would speak of paradise, of judgment, of the soul's journey after death. Shah Jahan oversaw every detail personally. Nothing was too small for his attention, nothing too insignificant. This was his love made visible, his grief transformed into beauty. Make it perfect, he told his architects. If there is a flaw, tear it down and start again. This is not just a building. This is my heart. The construction took 22 years and the labor of 20,000 workers. Elephants hauled the white marble from quarries 300 kilometers away. Thousands of oxen transported materials. Skilled craftsmen worked year after year, their entire lives devoted to this single project. Shah Jahan visited the site constantly, even as he ruled the empire, even as he dealt with the endless demands of statecraft. He made time to oversee the construction of Mumtaz's tomb. He would stand and watch the workers fitting marble panels with mathematical precision. He would examine the inlay work with a jeweler's eye, rejecting anything less than perfect. He would climb the scaffolding to see the dome taking shape, this architectural marvel that seemed to defy gravity. At night, he would sit alone on the riverbank and look at the rising structure, and he would talk to Mumtaz. "Do you see it, my love? Do you see what I'm building for you? It will be beautiful, I promise, as beautiful as you were. As eternal as my love for you." The wind would stir the trees, and he would imagine it was her answering him, his children worried about him. His eldest daughter, Jahanara especially, saw how her father was consumed by this project, by his grief. She tried to bring him comfort, to help him find joy again in ruling and living. "Father," she said gently one evening, "Mother would not want you to spend your life in mourning." "I am not mourning," he replied. "I am honoring." "There is a difference, but you barely smile anymore. You barely eat. You've shut yourself off from the world." He looked at his daughter, so like her mother in face and spirit, and his eyes softened slightly. The world is less bright without her in it. How can I smile knowing she is gone? By remembering that she lived. By celebrating what you had, not just grieving what you lost. I am celebrating, he said, turning to look at the construction site. Every stone in that building is a celebration of her. Every inlay is a testament to her beauty. When it is finished, the world will know that Mumtaz Mahal existed, that she was loved, that she was extraordinary. That is how I celebrate her. As the years passed and the Taj Mahal took shape, its beauty became legendary even before its completion. People would travel from distant provinces just to glimpse it. Poets wrote verses about it. Artists tried to capture it in miniature paintings, though none could truly convey its magnificence. The main structure was completed first, the great white marble mausoleum with its perfect dome and slender minarets. Then came the mosque to the west and the guest house to the east, mirror images of each other to maintain perfect symmetry. The gardens were laid out with mathematical precision, walkways lined with cypress trees, pools that reflected the building's image like a painting, flower beds arranged in geometric patterns, everything designed to evoke the Islamic concept of paradise, an ordered, perfect garden where the soul finds peace. Inside the main chamber, the cenotaph that marked Mumtaz's resting place was carved from a single block of marble. Her actual grave was in a chamber below, but this marker was what visitors would see, and it was carved with verses from the Quran and delicate floral designs. Beside it, Shah Jahan had a second cenotaph carved, waiting empty. One day, he knew he would lie beside her again. In death, they would be reunited. Until then, he would wait. In 1653, after 22 years of labor, the Taj Mahal was complete. Shah Jahan walked through it one final time before the official dedication. He was 61 years old now, his beard completely white, his face marked by time and sorrow. But as he moved through the monument he had built for Mumtaz, something like peace touched his features. The morning light filtered through the marble screens, casting patterns of lace-like shadows on the floor. The inlaid stones glowed with subtle color. The calligraphy seemed to float around the arches. The entire space felt ethereal, holy, like a place caught between earth and heaven. He stood before Mumtaz's cenotaph, placed his hand on the cool marble. "I kept my promise," he whispered. "The world will never forget you. This will stand for 1,000 years, 10,000 years. As long as humans walk this earth, they will come here and know that you are loved." He had been right, though he could not know it then. 400 years later, millions would visit the Taj Mahal each year. They would stand in awe before its beauty. They would hear the story of Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal, and their hearts would ache with the romance and tragedy of it. The Taj Mahal would become one of the wonders of the world, a monument to love, grief, and the human need to create beauty even in the face of unbearable loss. But for Shah Jahan, it was simply his heart made visible. They walk hand in hand through paradise, not the paradise of religious texts, but the paradise they created together. The paradise of two souls perfectly matched, two hearts beating as one. Behind them, the Taj Mahal rises, white and perfect. It is not a tomb anymore. It is a testament. It is proof that love existed here, that it was real, that it mattered. And perhaps that is the true gift Shah Jahan gave the world. Not just a beautiful building, but a reminder. A reminder that in a world of suffering and loss, of impermanence and change, love endures. A reminder that humans can create beauty even from grief, can transform pain into art, can make something eternal from something temporary. A reminder that we are capable of devotion, of faithfulness, of loving someone so completely that their loss unmakes us, and then of rising from that loss to create something that will outlast us all. The Taj Mahal stands on the banks of the Yamuna River, and it will stand for centuries yet to come. It will watch empires rise and fall. It will see technology transform beyond recognition. It will witness humanity's triumphs and failures, its evolution, and perhaps its end. But it will always be, at its heart, one simple thing: a man's love for a woman, carved in marble and set against the sky. Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal lived 400 years ago. They died and were buried side by side. Their bodies have long since returned to dust, but their love is still alive. You can see it if you visit Agra. You can feel it in the perfect proportions, the exquisite inlay work, the gardens designed to represent paradise. You can sense it in the way the building seems to float, to transcend its own physicality and become something more than stone and mortar. You can understand it when you hear their story, the meeting, the waiting, the marriage, the partnership, the death, the grief, the monument, the imprisonment, the reunion and death. And you can carry it with you, this knowledge that love like this is possible, that humans are capable of devotion this profound, that in our best moments, we can create something that speaks to the eternal. Rest now. Let the story settle in your heart like moonlight on marble. Let yourself believe that love can outlast death, that beauty can be born from sorrow, that two people can meet and recognize each other as the answer to a question they didn't know they were asking. Dream of gardens at dawn, of hands held through decades, of promises kept even after death, of love carved in stone and set against an endless sky. The Taj Mahal stands tonight as it has stood for nearly 400 years, and it stands as proof that Shah Jahan loved Mumtaz Mahal, proof that she loved him, proof that love, when it is true and deep and real, can create something that lasts forever. Sleep well, dream of paradise, and know that somewhere, in some realm beyond our understanding, two souls walk together still, hand in hand, heart to heart, forever, the end. Yet even as he completed this magnificent tribute, the world was changing around him. His sons had grown into men with ambitions of their own. The empire he had spent decades building and maintaining was beginning to show cracks. His son Aurangzeb, the third son, was particularly ambitious, intelligent, capable, but also ruthless in a way that disturbed Shah Jahan. While his father spent time and resources on art and architecture, Aurangzeb saw only waste. While Shah Jahan dreamed of beauty, Aurangzeb dreamed of power. In 1657, Shah Jahan fell ill. It was a serious illness, and for days his life hung in the balance. Rumors spread that the emperor was dying, and his sons began to position themselves for the succession. War erupted between the brothers. Aurangzeb proved the most capable military commander, defeating his siblings one by one. And when Shah Jahan recovered from his illness, he found that his empire had been torn apart by civil war, and his son Aurangzeb had claimed the throne. Shah Jahan refused to abdicate. He was still emperor, still powerful, but Aurangzeb was merciless. In 1658, he imprisoned his father in the Agra fort, the same fort where Shah Jahan had married Mumtaz so many years before. The room in Agra Fort where Shah Jahan was imprisoned was not a dungeon. It was an apartment in the fort's tower, richly appointed, comfortable enough. But it was still a prison. The door was locked. Guards stood outside. His movements were restricted, his communications monitored. At 66 years old, the king of the world had become a captive in his own palace. But there was one mercy in his imprisonment, though Aurangzeb probably never thought of it as such. From his window, Shah Jahan could see the Taj Mahal. Across the Yamuna River, the great white monument gleamed in the sunlight. At dawn, it appeared pink and soft. At midday, it blazed brilliant white. At sunset, it turned golden. At night, under the moon, it seemed to glow from within as if lit by some inner fire. Shah Jahan spent his days at that window. He would wake before dawn and watch the sky lighten, watch the Taj Mahal emerge from darkness like a dream becoming real. He would sit there through the heat of the day, through the afternoon, through the evening, until night fell and the stars came out. He watched the changing seasons play across its surface. Summer heat when the marbles seemed to shimmer in waves. Monsoon rains when the gardens turned lush and green and the building appeared to float in mist. Winter cold when everything was sharp and clear and the white marble stood against blue sky like something carved from clouds. And he remembered his daughter Jahanara chose to stay with him in his imprisonment. She could have remained free, could have enjoyed the privileges of the new court under her brother's rule. But she loved her father too much to leave him alone. "You don't have to stay," Shah Jahan told her on the first day of his captivity. "You should live your life. My place is with you," she said, echoing the words her mother had spoken so many times. "Always with you." So she remained, his comfort and companion through the long years of imprisonment. Together they would sit by the window and look at the Taj Mahal. Jahanara would read to him poetry, history, letters from family members. She would play music on the sitar, soft melodies that filled the room. She would tell him news of the empire, carefully edited to avoid the things that would pain him most. But mostly, they would look at the Taj Mahal and remember Mumtaz. "Tell me about Mother," Jahanara would ask, though she had heard the stories 1,000 times. And Shah Jahan would tell them again, about meeting Mumtaz in the Mina Bazaar, about their wedding day, about the years they spent together, the children they raised, the dreams they shared. His voice would grow soft with memory, warm with love that death had not diminished. "She was the best of us," he would say. "The kindest, the wisest, the most beautiful soul I have ever known. Everything good in me came from loving her. She lives on in that monument, Father, and in us, and all of us who carry her memory." "Yes," he would agree, turning back to the window. "Yes, she does." The years in imprisonment were not easy, but they had a strange peace to them. After decades of ruling, of constant demands and decisions, of warfare and politics, Shah Jahan had finally stopped. He had no empire to run, no campaigns to plan, no court to manage. He had only his memories and the view from his window. He began to see his life as a whole, a complete story that was nearing its end. He thought about his youth, his rise to power, his years with Mumtaz, the building of the Taj Mahal. He thought about his mistakes and his triumphs, his loves and his losses, and gradually a kind of understanding came to him. He had been the king of the world. He had commanded armies, ruled an empire, built monuments that would last millennia. But the only thing that had truly mattered, the only thing that had made him feel fully alive, was loving Mumtaz Mahal. Everything else, the crown, The power, the wealth, had been ephemeral, transitory, but love was eternal. The Taj Mahal proved it. Even here, imprisoned and powerless, he could look at that building and feel connected to her. The monument had become more than architecture. It was love made visible, grief transformed into beauty, memory carved in marble. I thought I was building it for the world, he said to Jahanara one evening as they watched the sunset turn the Taj Mahal golden, to show everyone how much I loved her. But I was wrong. What do you mean, Father? I built it for myself, so that I would never forget, so that every day I could look at it and remember what we had. It's not a tomb, really. It's a keeper of memories, a place where our love lives on. Jahanara took his hand. Then you succeeded, because the love is there, Father. Anyone who looks at it can feel it. In the solitude of his imprisonment, Shah Jahan began to talk to Mumtaz. Not prayers, exactly. Not pleas to the dead, just conversations. The kind they used to have when she was alive, when they would walk in gardens and talk about everything and nothing. He would tell her about his day, trivial as it was, about the breakfast he'd eaten, the letter Jahanara had read to him, the bird that had landed on his windowsill. He would describe how the Taj Mahal looked that morning, as if she couldn't see it herself from wherever she was. The light was especially beautiful today, he might say. Pink and soft, the way you liked it. Do you remember those mornings when we would watch the sunrise together? I think of them often. Sometimes he would apologize to her. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you, he whispered on dark nights when sleep wouldn't come. I had all the power in the world, but I couldn't save you. I would have traded it all, the empire, the crown, everything, for just one more day with you. Sometimes he would tell her about their children, about how they had grown, about the grandchildren she had never met. Jahanara is here with me. She's so much like you, strong and kind and wise. You would be proud of her. She takes care of me just as you would have. And she plays the sitar beautifully. Sometimes when she plays, I close my eyes and I can almost imagine you're here again. He told her about Arantip, and the pain in his voice was evident even to the guards outside his door. Our son has imprisoned me. I don't know what I did wrong in raising him. Perhaps I loved you too much and him not enough. Perhaps I was too focused on building monuments and not enough on building character. I failed him somehow, and now this, but I have forgiven him. What else can a father do? And sometimes, on the hardest days, he would simply say, I miss you. Every moment of every day, I miss you. The world is so much dimmer without you in it. The guards outside his door heard these one-sided conversations. At first, they thought the old emperor was losing his mind, but over time, they came to understand. This was not madness. This was love that refused to die. This was a man keeping his beloved alive in the only way he could, through memory, through words, through the daily practice of remembering. Some of the guards were moved to tears by what they heard. They would go home to their own wives and hold them a little tighter, treasure them a little more, because they had heard a king speaking to his dead queen and understood the preciousness of love. The monsoon season of 1665 was particularly beautiful. The rains came heavy and regular, turning everything green, filling the Yamuna River until it flowed wide and swift past the Taj Mahal. Shah Jahan stood at his window, watching rain fall on the monument. The white marble darkened slightly when wet, the gardens turned lush, and the whole scene looked soft and dreamlike. He was 74 years old. His body was failing. His hands shook, his eyes were dimming, his strength was nearly gone, but his mind was clear and his love was undimmed. "Soon, my love," he said to the Taj Mahal, to the memory of Mumtaz that lived within it. "Soon I will join you, and we will walk in gardens again, just as you promised. Real gardens, the gardens of paradise. We will have eternity together." Jahanara heard him and felt tears slip down her cheeks. She knew her father was dying. She had watched him grow weaker over the months, had seen the light in his eyes turning inward, focusing on something beyond this world. "Father," she said gently, "you should rest." "I have spent 7 years resting," he replied with a shadow of his old smile. "What I need now is to be reunited with your mother." "Don't say that. You still have time." "Time for what, daughter?" "My life's work is complete. The Taj Mahal stands. My love is immortalized. My children are grown. What more is there?" "There is living," she said desperately. "There's being here with me, with your family." He turned from the window and took her hand. His grip was weak, but his eyes were filled with love. "You have been my comfort and my joy through these dark years. You have been your mother's daughter in every way. I am so proud of you, so grateful for you. But I am tired, Jahanara. So very tired. I know, Father, and I want to see her again." "Is that so terrible? I have been half alive since the day she died. Soon I will be whole again." Jahanara couldn't argue with that. She had seen how her father had lived since her mother's death, functioning, ruling, building, but never truly alive. A part of him had gone into the ground with Mumtaz. Another part had gone into the marble of the Taj Mahal. What remained was a shell, however noble and loving. "Then I will stay with you until the end," she promised. "You will not be alone. I have never been alone," he said, looking back at the Taj Mahal. "She has always been with me, and soon I will be with her." On January 22nd, 1666, in the early morning hours when the sky was just beginning to lighten, Shah Jahan died. He died in his bed in the Agra fort, with Jahanara holding his hand. His last words were verses from the Quran, prayers he had learned as a boy. But his last conscious thought was of Mumtaz, and his last vision through the window of his room was of the Taj Mahal catching the first rays of dawn. He died looking at the monument he had built for her, at the place where her body rested, at the physical manifestation of a love that had defined his life. He died finally going to join her. Jahanara couldn't argue with that. She had seen how her father had lived since her mother's death, functioning, ruling, building, but never truly alive. A part of him had gone into the ground with Mumtaz. Another part had gone into the marble of the Taj Mahal. What remained was a shell, however noble and loving. "Then I will stay with you until the end," she promised. "You will not be alone." "I have never been alone," he said, looking back at the Taj Mahal. "She has always been with me, and soon I will be with her." On January 22nd, 1666, in the early morning hours when the sky was just beginning to lighten, Shah Jahan died. He died in his bed in the Agra fort with Jahanara holding his hand. His last words were verses from the Quran, prayers he had learned as a boy. But his last conscious thought was of Mumtaz, and his last vision, through the window of his room, was of the Taj Mahal catching the first rays of dawn. He died looking at the monument he had built for her, at the place where her body rested, at the physical manifestation of a love that had defined his life. He died, finally going to join her. Aurangzeb, despite his harsh treatment of his father in life, accorded him honor in death. Shah Jahan's body was washed and wrapped in simple white cloth, as was the Islamic custom. It was carried in procession through the streets of Agra as thousands came out to pay their respects. The great emperor who had built so much, who had ruled so powerfully, who had loved so deeply, was going home. They brought him across the river to the Taj Mahal, through the great gateway, past the gardens he had designed, into the marble chamber where Mumtaz had waited for him all these years. The tomb beneath the main chamber was opened. Shah Jahan's body was laid to rest beside Mumtaz's, their graves side by side as he had always planned. But there was one detail that broke the perfect symmetry of the Taj Mahal. Throughout the monument, everything was balanced, harmonious, perfectly aligned. The two cenotaphs on the main floor had been carved identically, placed with mathematical precision at the center of the octagonal chamber, but the actual graves below were different. Mumtaz's grave was perfectly centered, exactly on the north-south axis of the building. Shah Jahan's grave was slightly to the side. Some say this was because his death and burial had not been part of the original plan. He had designed the Taj Mahal for Mumtaz alone, and his own interment was an addition. Others say it was Aurangzeb's way of making a point, of showing that even in death, Shah Jahan would not have perfect equality with his beloved. But perhaps there is another way to see it. Perhaps Shah Jahan never wanted to be at the center. The Taj Mahal was always meant to be Mumtaz's monument, her place, her memorial. He had built it for her, not for himself. And even in death, even in burial, he remained what he had always been, the man who loved her, the man who orbited around her light. She was the center, he was the one who cherished her. And that, perhaps, is exactly as he would have wanted it. Centuries have passed since Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal lived and loved and died. The Mughal Empire has long since fallen. The world they knew has transformed beyond recognition. Their children's children's children have come and gone, their bloodlines scattered and diluted through the generations. But the Taj Mahal remains. It stands on the banks of the Yamuna River, just as Shah Jahan designed it. The white marble still glows in the changing light. The inlaid stones still sparkle. The perfect symmetry still takes the breath away. The gardens still bloom, and people come. They come from every corner of the earth, millions upon millions every year. They come with cameras and guidebooks, with wonder in their eyes. They walk through the great gateway and gasp as the Taj Mahal comes into view. They stand before it and try to capture its beauty in photographs, though no photograph can truly convey the experience of seeing it in person. They come for many reasons. For the architecture, yes, it is one of the finest examples of Mughal design, a masterpiece of proportion and craftsmanship. For the history, it represents a golden age of empire and culture. For the beauty, it is simply one of the most lovely things humans have ever created. But mostly, they come for the story. They come because they have heard about Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal. They have heard about a love so profound that it created one of the wonders of the world. They come to stand in a place where grief was transformed into beauty, where loss became art, where death gave birth to immortality. They walk through the monument and read the plaques that tell the story. They learn about the meeting in the Mina Bazaar, the years of waiting, the wedding, the partnership, the children. They learn about Mumtaz's death and Shah Jahan's grief. They learn about the 22 years of construction, the 20,000 workers, the precious stones brought from across the world. They stand before the cenotaphs, those two marble markers that represent two lives joined in love, and they feel something. Some feel romance, imagining that kind of devotion in their own lives. Some feel sadness, thinking of the pain Shah Jahan must have endured. Some feel awe at the sheer ambition of building such a monument. Some feel peace, standing in a place that is fundamentally about love's triumph over death. But everyone feels something, because the Taj Mahal is not just beautiful, it is not just architecturally significant, it is not just historically important, it is a love letter written in marble. It is proof that love can transcend death. It is evidence that humans, in their best moments, can create something that speaks across centuries, that touches hearts separated by language and culture and time. Tour guides tell visitors that the Taj Mahal changes color throughout the day. Pink at dawn, white at noon, golden at sunset, silver under the moon. They say this was intentional, that Shah Jahan wanted it to reflect the changing moods of love, the soft hope of morning, the bright joy of afternoon, the warm contentment of evening, the quiet intimacy of night. They tell visitors about the gardens, designed to represent paradise, about the 4 minarets, tilted slightly outward so that, if there were an earthquake, they would fall away from the main structure rather than onto it. Shah Jahan protecting his beloved even from hypothetical disasters. About the calligraphy that grows larger toward the top, so it appears. Uniform from below, mathematical precision in service of beauty. They tell about the precious stones, how carnelian came from Baghdad, jade and crystal from China, turquoise from Tibet, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, sapphire from Ceylon. How the world contributed to this monument, as if recognizing that love this profound deserved the best of everything. They tell about Shah Jahan's imprisonment, how he spent 7 years looking at the monument from his window at Agra Fort, how he died with that view before him, how he was buried beside Mumtaz at last, and visitors listen and look and understand. This is what love looks like when it refuses to die. This is what happens when grief and genius meet. This is proof that humans can create beauty even in the darkest moments. This is hope made manifest. In the chamber where Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal are buried, there is silence. No tourist walks these actual graves. They are in a chamber below the main floor, away from the crowds and cameras. Only scholars and officials with special permission ever enter. Down there, in the quiet darkness, 2 graves lie side by side. The stone is simple, as Islamic tradition requires. No elaborate decoration in the actual burial chamber. Just 2 graves, close enough that if the dead could reach out, they could touch hands. Above them, in the chamber, tourists see the cenotaphs are carved with exquisite detail. Verses from the Quran surround Mumtaz's marker. On Shah Jahan's, the words are fewer, simpler. Just his name and title and a declaration of faith. But if you look carefully at the calligraphy on Mumtaz's cenotaph, you will find words that Shah Jahan had carved there. Words that speak across 4 centuries with undimmed emotion. The throne of honor, the queen of the age, a rose in the garden of celestial bliss, her abode the eternal paradise, and another inscription, even more personal, God is eternal, imperishable. All the rest is mortal. It is a reminder that empires fall, monuments crumble, even the stars die, but love, true love, exists outside of time. It is the one eternal thing in a temporary world. Shah Jahan understood this in the end. He had been emperor, had commanded armies, had ruled millions, but none of that had lasted. His empire was taken from him, his power was stripped away. He died a prisoner in his own palace, but his love for Mumtaz endured. It endured through her death. It endured through his grief. It endured through the years of building. It endured through his imprisonment. It endured until his last breath, and it endures still. Every person who visits the Taj Mahal and feels moved by its beauty, who hears the story and feels their heart stirred, they are witnesses to that love. They are proof that Shah Jahan succeeded in his promise to Mumtaz. The world has not forgotten. The world will never forget. Close your eyes now and imagine it. Imagine the Taj Mahal in the soft light of dawn, the moment when night becomes day, when darkness gives way to light. The marble glows pink and soft, like a blush on beloved skin. The gardens are quiet, dew still on the flowers. The Yamuna River flows past, reflecting the monument like a mirror. Imagine Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal walking together through those gardens. Not as they were at the end, one dead, one broken by grief, but as they were in their prime. Young and love, full of joy and hope. She laughs at something he said, that musical laugh that captured his heart in the Mina Bazaar. He looks at her with eyes full of wonder, still amazed that she is his, still grateful for every moment they share.